In the rugged expanse of the Wyoming Territory in 1875, 22-year-old Rosa Martinez learned that being deemed worthless came with weight as tangible as the pack on her back. The chill of winter seeped into her bones, cold against her skin as she stood at the doorway of her family's ramshackle house, its wooden frame creaking under the weight of too many winters and fewer dreams. The dawn light struggled to break through the heavy clouds, casting a grey pallor over the worn landscape, much like the shadows that loomed over her life. Each morning commenced with the same bitter reality, the disdainful words of her parents echoing through the cramped, dimly lit house. "Beatrice is the beauty. You're merely a shadow," her mother would mutter, the low but piercing tone cutting through Rosa like a jagged blade. Today, in a soft, trembling whisper of a voice meant to carry only to her heart, she recalled the sting of her mother's words. They were a chorus of disdain that haunted every corner of her mind. Rosa stood quietly in the corner of the kitchen, retreating into her shell as if it might protect her from the truth. In the bustling town nearby, laughter rang out like crisp bells, a vibrant melody filled with the joy that felt entirely out of reach. Her father's bark sliced through her morose thoughts. "Keep your eyes low, Rosa. You're no prize for any man." Each word landed heavily in her heart, a constant reminder that worth was a currency she would never hold. Today, her sister Beatrice was the center of attention, dressed in a beautiful new gown, its fabric flowing like soft water as she twirled in front of the cracked mirror, her indulgence reflecting in every glittering look from the neighborhood boys. As Rosa was sent to the barn to complete her chores, she felt the burden of the day weighing down on her, each task a reminder of her invisible place in the family. As she stepped into the barn, the familiar sense of hay and animal musk enveloped her, a solace wrapped in the roughness of reality. This place was her sanctuary, a hidden space where she often retreated into her world of creativity. With a sigh, she pulled out her tattered sketchbook tucked away in an old compartment. It was frayed at the edges and stained with memories of dreams fleeting but fervent. She sat on a large hay bale, letting her fingers tremble with the anticipation of creation, tracing the outline of a vibrant sunset. Rosa closed her eyes momentarily, breathing deep the earthy scent of the barn. Here she was far from her parents' unrelenting expectations. Here she could paint the world as she saw it, not as a shadow of a person worth little more than a burden, but as a spirit, a voice waiting to find its song. But even in this haven, the weight of familial disdain clung to her like an unwelcome cloak. Sneaking glances at her reflection in a nearby water trough, she felt her heart clench as memories of her childhood illness surfaced, the illness that had left its mark on her appearance and her spirit. Her crooked smile and the scars on her face were constant reminders that she would never be the beauty her family prided itself on. A sudden wave of grief swept over her, an ache all too familiar. "What will become of me?" she whispered to the empty barn, the words falling flat against the wooden walls. Today felt heavier than the last, each moment a searing reminder of what she lacked. Just as she began to lose herself in the strokes of her pencil, envisioning landscapes filled with love and laughter, the barn door creaked ominously. Startled, Rosa looked up to see an elderly woman from the village standing in the threshold, her silhouette framed by the waning light. With weathered hands and eyes filled with stories, the woman stepped inside, the door closing gently behind her. "Why waste that talent on this life?" the woman said, her voice steady yet soft as she took in the walls adorned with Rosa's sketches. "You could be more than what they've painted you to be." Rosa's heart raced, a flicker of hope igniting at those words. "What do you mean?" she blurted out, almost breathless. The woman nodded toward the stack of canvases piled in the corner, each one layered with the imprint of Rosa's spirit. "There's a traveling artist who visits towns like ours. He teaches, he inspires. You could learn from him. You deserve to see the world beyond these hills." The elderly woman's words danced in her mind like flickering flames, sparking a glimmer of possibility. "But my family," Rosa began, her breath hitching at the thought of leaving them behind. The old woman waved a hand dismissively, a gesture that seemed to unveil more than just apathy. "Your family does not dictate your worth, child. Only you can do that." The chains that bound Rosa broke momentarily as she absorbed those words, shimmering with hope and confusion alike. If only she could embrace her gift, the desire became almost tangible, swirling like the colors on her brush. Yet, the familiar shadows encroached once more, her family's harsh words etched across her thoughts, growing louder and more insistent. She felt the pull of their expectations, designed to keep her tethered to a life devoid of dreams. their judgments forming the walls of her prison. She looked out of the barn, the twilight deepening and engulfing the world in hues of indigo. "I can't just leave," she murmured, the weight of uncertainty crashing over her like a wave. The woman's gaze softened, cradling the heaviness of such decisions. Sometimes a choice must be made, to embrace your gift or remain bound by the chains others forged. Rosa returned her gaze to the sketches laid before her, the vibrant images against the wood that whispered of happiness and freedom. Overnight, could her heart bloom, chance the risk of ridicule, and emerge into the light? The world outside might be filled with laughter and warmth, but within her home, she often felt like a ghost, fading in the background, desperately wishing to be seen. As the woman turned to leave, she hesitated on the threshold, casting one last glance over her shoulder. "Remember, Rosa, beauty lies not in the eyes of others, but in what you choose to reveal to the world." With that, the elderly woman stepped out into the cool evening air, the door creaking closed behind her, leaving Rosa alone once more among the hay and silence. Under the cloak of twilight, visions of the future flickered like the last rays of sun lingering on the horizon. For the first time she felt a stirring inside her, a determination, a fueled fire that pushed against the despair. What if she were to shed the layers of their judgments? What if she could take that step into the unknown, where she could find acceptance, not in their eyes but in her own? The pull of the outside world became irresistible as Rosa imagined her future, a journey filled with colors, exploration, and the possibility of being seen for who she truly was. "I will find a way," she vowed to the quiet barn, the echo of the promise halting the whispers of doubt. With each stroke of her pencil, Rosa allowed herself to believe again, dreaming of a life where she could be more than just a shadow, a life where her art could speak louder than the disdainful voices that had kept her shackled for far too long. The sun emerged over the western mountains, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, casting a warm glow against the chilling dawn. From her perch in the barn, Rosa Martinez watched as the day broke anew, her heart thundering with anticipation. Today was the day she would take her first steps beyond the threshold of her childhood, into a world bustling with potential and art. She could scarcely believe that only a short time ago she had resigned herself to being a shadow, and now she felt like a vibrant palette waiting to burst forth. As she prepared her meager belongings, every movement felt deliberate, filled with purpose, and when she emerged into the crisp morning air, it was as though a spell had lifted, the burden of her family's condemnation lightening with each footstep toward destiny. The promise of adventure mingled with a vibrant energy, threaded through with the nuances of fear, a chaotic symphony tugging at her heart. Rosa made her way to the designated meeting point in town, as arranged by Jasper, her mentor and guide as she embarked on this uncharted journey. The cobblestone pathways were damp with dew, each step forward echoing with a whisper of determination. As she walked, her mind danced between the excitement of what lay ahead and the gnawing worry of her family's reaction. The prospect of stepping into her own, unshackling herself from their constraints, lay tantalizingly close. When she reached the town square, the bustling sound of life enveloped her. Merchants shouted to passers-by, showcasing wares from fresh produce to handcrafted trinkets. Families gathered near the fountain, laughter bubbling forth like the crystal-clear water splashing from the basin. Rosa's heart raced, not in trepidation but with exhilarating promise. This was the world she had long yearned to participate in, not as an outsider, but as a person of worth, capable and vibrant. Just as she began to soak in the lively atmosphere, she spotted Jasper standing by a large oak tree, his presence exuding calmness amidst the chaos. He beckoned her over with a knowing smile, recognition lighting his eyes. "You made it," he said, amusement lacing his voice. "I feared I would have to track you down in that barn." "I almost didn't," Rosa replied, a laugh bubbling forth, grateful that his teasing eased the tremor of anxiety coursing through her. "But I figured the world wouldn't wait for me to find my courage." "Good choice," Jasper chuckled, shifting his gaze from Rosa to the scene around them. "Today, you will witness the breath of life in art. This place pulses with inspiration, and I want you to soak it all in." Through her mentor's eyes, Rosa could see the world anew. Jasper guided her through the market, pointing out nuances, a brilliant orange of autumn squash, shadows cast across vendors' stalls, the way the vendors interacted with joy. "Art isn't confined to paints and brushes," he explained. "It's in the way we perceive everything around us, Every moment is a snapshot begging for transformation. As they strolled on, Jasper led her to a gathering of townsfolk where lively sounds erupted in tandem with excitement. A traveling exhibition had arrived, showcasing works from various artists, drawn from distant lands to share their talents and stories. Rosa's heart skipped, her breath hitching in anticipation. Could these be the very people who could help her realize her dream? The exhibition tent stood grand against the clear sky, vibrant colors draping the entrance like an invitation. As they stepped inside, the air thickened with creativity, brimming with the spirit of artistic expression. A myriad of canvases, sculptures, and sketches surrounded them, each piece telling its own story. Rosa felt overwhelmed, yet exhilarated. She was like a moth drawn to hovering flames, ready to dance within the light. "Take your time," Jasper's voice cut through the whirlwind of emotions. "Explore each piece. Understand what speaks to you." Rosa nodded, her eyes drinking in every detail. She moved from one artwork to another, her heart swelled at the brilliance shining around her. Each brushstroke, each shape narrated voices and tales she longed to unlock within herself. A vivid landscape captured her gaze, a sweeping vista that portrayed the raw beauty of untouched wilderness. Rosa imagined herself painting such a scene, her own brush mirroring the rhythm of nature. Suddenly a voice broke through her reverie. "Beautiful, isn't it?" A woman standing beside her remarked, her expression radiant as she took in the captivating artwork. "Art has a way of speaking volumes, don't you think?" "Yes," Rosa spoke, her words barely above a whisper. "It's like the colors tell their own story." "Exactly," the woman exclaimed, eyes sparkling with an infectious passion. "It expresses the complexities of joy and sorrow, longing and hope. Are you an artist?" Rosa hesitated, a swift wave of doubt flooding her mind. "I'm still learning," she admitted, the admission cathartic and terrifying in equal measure. "Every artist starts somewhere," the woman responded, an encouraging smile lighting her face. "Embrace your voice. The world needs authenticity." With that, she moved on, leaving Rosa inspired, the stranger's words lingering like incense in the air. As she continued to wander the exhibition, Rosa began to lose herself in the pulsating heart of creativity that surrounded her. Each piece she encountered offered insight, lessons distilled into painted form. She could feel the barriers of expectation begin to erode, the lingering thoughts of her family's disdain, dulled by the sheer power of artistic expression washing over her. Hours melted away, and as the sun tilted toward the horizon, Rosa found herself drawn to a group of artists congregated at the back of the tent. They were engaged in animated conversation, hands gesticulating wildly, their laughter resembling a chorus full of life. Jasper stood a short distance away, watching her with pride flickering in his eyes. "What brings you all together?" Rosa inquired, the eagerness spilling from her lips. One of the artists, a scruffy man with chestnut curls and paint-splattered clothes, grinned at her. "This is the beauty of collaboration and community. We share experiences, techniques, and inspiration," he explained, gesturing to a canvas where colors clashed and melded brilliantly under the brush of creativity. "Every stroke is a conversation. We learn from one another, growing into something altogether new." Rosa felt a rush of excitement coursing through her veins. "Can I join?" she asked, her voice steady despite the racing of her heart. "I want to learn, to grow." The man shared a knowing glance with the others before nodding. Of course, the more, the merrier. In the days that followed, Rosa dove headfirst into her new community. She found herself in workshops brimming with laughter and instruction, learning techniques that enhanced her own style, while allowing her to explore uncharted territories of creativity. Among these artists, she was no longer bound by familial expectations. Each meeting felt like a celebration of everything she had longed to be. Art took on a new life within her during those spirited sessions. There were moments of frustration when colors wouldn't blend correctly, or when the canvas resisted her touch. But with each challenge, Rosa found room to grow. Jasper visited often, encouraging her when self-doubt threatened to throttle her progress, reminding her that each misstep was merely a stepping stone on the path to mastery. During one early session, as the group engaged in a painting exercise, Rosa listened to their discussions, stories of growth and redemption echoing through her thoughts with profound resonance. "I was once a slave to others' opinions," a young woman confessed, her voice gentle yet firm. "But art taught me I could tell my own story." Rosa felt that truth intertwining with her journey, echoing the struggles she had left behind. The realization that she had the power to define her path ignited a fire within her, stirring emotions she had never dared to acknowledge. If I can transform pain into beauty, then perhaps I have some worth, she thought, each brushstroke a step in reclaiming her sense of self. With each passing week, the artist inside her blossomed. Colors exploded vibrantly on her canvases, representations of her fears and hopes intertwining like a joyous dance. She began to teach others as much as she learned, rediscovering a spark that heightened her confidence and sense of belonging. But as spring approached, there remained a gnawing ache at the back of her mind, her family. The letters had grown eerily infrequent. Their absence felt like a growing void, a reminder of home that weighed down her heart. One evening after a particularly spirited workshop, Rosa found herself standing alone before the easel she had claimed in their space. The blank canvas felt daunting, a reflection of her uncertainty. "Let it out, Rosa." Jasper's voice broke through her thoughts, his presence steadying her wavering resolve. "What's holding you back?" I'm afraid," she said quietly, finally allowing the truth to surface. "I worry they won't accept who I've become. How can I return as this person when they would prefer a shadow?" With understanding in his eyes, Jasper moved closer. "You aren't bound by the weight of their expectations. You have the power to redefine your story, and ultimately you must choose who you want them to see." His words washed over her like the gentle embrace of sunlight breaking through clouds. "What if I'm not enough?" she whispered, the fear still brewing beneath her surface. "Then paint it," Jasper urged, his voice unwavering. "Your fears, your dreams, transform them into something you can share." In that moment, something shifted within Rosa. She took a breath, finding strength in vulnerability. She had the ability, no, the responsibility, to express who she had become. There was nothing more potent than the truth she could release upon her canvas. In that space filled with possibility, she dared to confront the agony she had been holding at bay. With trembling hands, Rosa approached her easel, grounding herself in that tangible act of creation. The colors she mixed swirled like her emotions, fierce reds, soft blues, and earthy browns. As she painted, Rosa released her fears onto the canvas, strokes transforming insecurity into a beautiful amalgam of chaos and clarity. Each brushstroke cemented her identity, a vibrant declaration of resilience and redemption. She felt lighter, almost humorous in her defiance. "I may not be who they want," she murmured to the canvas, passion igniting with each sweeping stroke, "but I am undeniably who I am meant to be." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm orange glow through the window, darkness wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. Finally releasing the fears that had haunted her, Rosa stepped back, admiring her work. For the first time, the canvas felt more than just colors on a surface. It was her story, raw, vibrant, and true. The weight of uncertainty began to lift as spring arrived, and with it, change settled into her bones, like the sweet scent of wildflowers on the breeze. Rosa could feel the shift as she prepared for what lay ahead, her family, her hometown, and reclaiming her place within them. She knew her journey was just beginning, and no matter the outcome, she would face it as the artist she had become. As spring unfurled its colors, Rosa felt herself caught in a beautiful tension, a blend of excitement and anxiety swirling within her, like the vibrant pigments on her palette. It had been months since she had embraced her calling as an artist, and now as the blossoms burst forth with life, she felt herself poised on the brink of a life-altering decision. The time had come to return to her family, to the town that had shaped her past, and to confront both the ghosts of her childhood and the potential for healing. Rosa stood before her easel in the studio she had made her sanctuary. The sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the swirls of color she'd created that day. Each piece echoed her journey, the anger of leaving shadowed by the burst of freedom, the sorrow of being misunderstood blossoming into a celebration of self-acceptance. It was time to take these creations back to her hometown, to show her family the artistry that had filled her soul and transformed her heart. Jasper Ashwood, her mentor and friend, stood nearby, sensing the weight of the moment pressing upon her. "Today is all about sharing your truth, Rosa," he said, his voice steady yet encouraging. "Your art is powerful. It speaks volumes. They need to understand the depth of who you are now. What if they don't accept me?" she wondered aloud, her heart racing at the thought. "What if they still see me as that scared girl who ran away? It's natural to feel that way, but remember, You have evolved. Your family deserves to witness the vibrant artist you've become, and they may surprise you," he replied, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. Taking a deep breath, Rosa nodded. She would carry her art as a shield and a sword, tools of expression to navigate the complexities of her family's expectations, and perhaps in time a path to understanding. With Jasper's encouragement wrapping around her tightly, she gathered her canvases and prepared for the journey home. Leaving the studio felt surreal, as though she was stepping into a new world even though she was heading back to her origins. Each mile on the road felt heavy with earlier memories of fear and isolation, intertwined with the vibrancy she had cultivated within the artist's retreat. The familiar sights of her childhood forest echoed the resilience she had found, the expansive sky urging her forward. On the day of the exhibition in her hometown, anxiety buzzed through Rosa like a live wire. She knew that the pieces displayed would serve as both a bridge and a barrier between her past and her present. The rustic hall where the exhibition was held was filled with art, music, and the enthusiastic chatter of friends and neighbors who had come to celebrate local talent. Stalls adorned with various crafts lined the perimeter, laughter floating through the air as townsfolk embraced the spirit of community. As she set up her canvases, each painting meticulously wrapped in cloth, she felt eyes lingering on her, curiosity paired with lingering doubts. Here the people who had once defined her took center stage in her heart. Would they accept her newfound voice, or would old judgments creep back to dull the vibrancy she had fought so hard to uncover? "Rosa!" A familiar voice broke through her reverie, and she turned to see her childhood friend, Anna, bounding toward her, excitement lighting up her features like sunshine piercing through a storm. "You look incredible. I've missed you." Rosa hugged Anna, relief flooding her as warmth washed over her from the genuine affection. "I've missed you too. I can't believe I'm finally back." "I can't wait to see your work," Anna said, her eyes sparkling. "Everyone has been buzzing about it. It's like you've been some lost daughter, and now you're this." She paused momentarily, lost in thought. "This artist, the vision of you is mesmerizing." Rosa felt her cheeks grow warm at the praise. "I'm still me. I've found a way to express it." As the exhibition started, Rosa stood before the crowd that had gathered around her work. Heart racing, she recalled what Jasper had said. Everything she created was an extension of herself. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, addressing the crowd with the vulnerability that had become her strength. "Thank you all for being here today," she began, her voice trembling but growing stronger with each word. "My name is Rosa Martinez, and these paintings are a reflection of my journey. They capture what it was like to leave home and who I've become through my art." The audience leaned in, caught in the gravity of her words as she unveiled her first piece, a whirlwind of colors that depicted a vast landscape intermingled with flashes of storm. "This represents the chaos and fear I felt when I made the decision to leave, a fear of not being enough and of the unknown." She heard gasps in the crowd, and with each painting she unveiled, she poured out her heart. "This piece," she continued, gesturing to another canvas exploding with vibrant hues, "is about rediscovering joy. Learning to embrace my true self has brought a sense of freedom I never imagined possible." Rosa felt the connections, lines forming between her and the audience, their emotions mirroring the battle she had faced. She spoke passionately, her journey unfurling like the colors blooming on her canvases. Stories flowed from her, raw and unguarded, allowing her vulnerability to resonate across the room. Finally, she paused and looked out at the familiar faces, her family among them, standing at the back with expressions ranging from curiosity to disbelief. She had opened her heart to these strangers, but her family had been her greatest struggle, and yet here they were, gathering the courage to bear witness. As she finished her presentation, a round of enthusiastic applause erupted, echoing in her ears. When the crowd began to dissipate, Rosa noticed her mother slowly walking toward her, eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Mom," Rosa said softly, feeling the tension in the air dissolve. She was drawn to the woman who had spent her life nurturing her, cherishing her talents, while struggling with the fear of loss and change. "What do you think?" "It's breathtaking," her mother replied, her voice full of emotion. "I had no idea. I didn't realize your art could mean so much, that you were processing everything through the very thing you love." Rosa stepped closer, needing to bridge the emotional distance that had lingered. "I wanted to show you the woman I've become. I'm still your daughter, but I'm also the artist I always wanted to be." Her mother's gaze deepened and she reached out, cupping Rosa's face in her hands, the warmth radiating from her touch, healing the splintered spaces between them. "You've grown, darling. I wish there had been a way for me to understand sooner. I'm still figuring it all out, Mum. I need you to understand that." Rosa's voice trembled with both grief and hope, vulnerability seeping from her heart. "So we can learn together, can't we?" "We can," her mother murmured, the corners of her mouth lifting into a gentle smile. Rosa's father stepped forward. "I'm proud of you too, Rosa. We didn't always understand what it meant to be true to yourself, but your mother and I are ready to support you in this journey." Tears brimmed in Rosa's eyes, but this time they were not of sorrow. They were tears of relief, recognition, and joy. "Thank you," she whispered, unable to voice the depth of emotion sweeping through her. "This means more than I can say." That evening, as the exhibition came to a close, Rosa felt both a weight lifting and a new connection taking root among her family. Conversations flowed freely, laughter and stories shared like a banquet of belonging, tentative yet binding. She shared anecdotes about each piece, weaving together tales of her struggles and triumphs, embracing the warmth of acceptance that encircled her. In the weeks that followed, Rosa and her family began to form new rhythms, weaving their lives together afresh. Their conversations became deeper, conversations about art, personal growth, and fears shared. With the support from her parents came newfound courage to continue exploring her craft. Her family fostered the nurturing environment she had longed for, allowing her art to bloom freely without fear of judgment. The relationship she had once believed irreparably fractured began to mend as they embraced the idea of change together. They would sit in the evenings, transformed into a cozy gathering space filled with discussions over dinner, stories exchanged, and laughter shared over cups of tea. One evening, her mother brought a worn box to the table, filled with her childhood drawings. "I came across these today," she said, revealing the contents with a hint of nostalgia. "You always had a gift, even as a child." Rosa's heart swelled at the sight of those early creations, reminders of the girl who had once hidden behind the warmth of family expectations. "I don't remember drawing these," she admitted, tracing the edges of the paper with her fingertips. Her mother explained how she would often find Rosa, pencils in hand, lost in her own world. She would lay blankets on the grass and spend hours drawing in the dappled light. "You were always so expressive even back then. I wanted to share my world," Rosa replied, a smile creeping across her face. In that intimate moment, surrounded by love and understanding, Rosa realized that the journey had never been about just her. It had involved her family, their fears and hopes, their beliefs molded by love. Together, they had found their way through the art she had wielded as a shield. Rosa's art began to take on new meaning, not just as a personal escape, but as a tangible bridge connecting them all, a way to illuminate the conversations that had previously seemed so impossibly distant. With summer on the horizon, Rosa prepared for new adventures as an artist, a community mural project where she would collaborate with local artists to beautify the town square. This opportunity felt less like a destination and more like an extension of her journey, a chance to share the impact of collective experiences through art. As the first strokes of paint glided across the wall under the rising sun, an electric sense of hope lit up the air. Rosa hadn't simply returned, she had transformed her past into a catalyst for connection. This mural would not only become a testament to her artistry, but also solidify her place within her community, a living embodiment of resilience, acceptance, and love. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, illuminating the vibrant colors on the mural, a deep sense of purpose infused the air surrounding the town square. Rosa stood before the wall, surrounded by a mix of familiar and new faces, their laughter and chatter creating a harmonious hum. The mural project, which had become so much more than just art, was a canvas upon which the entire community's narrative was painting itself. The weeks had flown by since the project had begun, morphing into an inspiring kaleidoscope of human connection. Every brushstroke brought renewed bonds, as neighbors and friends gathered not only to paint, but to share stories and laughter that echoed across the square. Rosa had invited local artists to join her, each contributing their unique voice to the mural, their styles blending beautifully into a collective vision. On a particularly sunny afternoon, while the vibrant flowers of the mural were taking shape, Rosa felt the warmth of the sun on her back, like a comforting friend. As she added splashes of color to a vine climbing along the sides of the wall, she looked up at the growing masterpiece. Each layer of paint, a testament to collaboration and healing. "Hey, Rosa, can I borrow your brush for a second?" a voice called from behind her. It was Luis, a local artist known for his extraordinary eye for detail. He grinned, paint splattered across his overalls, his fingers twitching with vibrant colors. "Of course," she called back, handing it over. "How you know how to make it sing?" As Luis applied his own artistic flair with deft strokes, Rosa turned to face the onlookers, feeling buoyed by their presence. Families, children, elders, all were becoming part of something larger than themselves. There was a joy in communal creativity that filled her with purpose. Yet behind her exhilaration, an undercurrent of apprehension nagged at her. Rosa's parents and close friends had always encouraged her journey, but her heart swelled with questions. Would they fully embrace the artist she had become? Would her newfound identity shake the foundation of their family expectations? The mural still felt like a reflection of her struggles and triumphs, and she longed for a deeper acceptance from those she loved. That evening, as the day turned to dusk and the mural glowed against the golden backdrop, Rosa slipped away to her studio, needing some quiet to reflect. She threw open the window, letting the fresh scent of blooming flowers drift in, mingling with the familiar smell of turpentine and paint. The moonlight spilled in, casting a silvery glow over her workspace filled with half-finished canvases and brushes. Rosa sank into her chair, contemplating her evolution. Each painting told a chapter of her journey, marked by the running thread of artistic expression entwined with growth. New fears crept into her mind. What if her art was still not enough? What if her community couldn't see the real her behind the layers of paint? The flickering of the candlelight illuminated the sketches scattered across her desk, including the early drawings from her childhood her mother had uncovered. "I just wanted to share my world." The echo of her own words haunted her, a reminder of what had once held her back. She took a deep breath and flipped through her drawings, remembering the pure, boundless joy that came with every line she drew, every color she painted. In that moment of vulnerability, she resolved to take the step necessary to share this journey with her family, to showcase the mural and the revitalized essence of her spirit. As weeks rolled on toward the official unveiling of the mural, anticipation charged the air like static electricity. Whenever she visited the town square, the sight snaked through her heart, home filled with bustling activity, passion rekindling the connections that might have frayed with distance. The last touches were being applied as they prepared for the ceremony. Music wafted softly through the crowd, everyone bubbling with excitement. Rosa saw familiar faces. Friends and family strolled through the square in twos and threes, reminiscing, eagerly discussing the mural. She felt the quiet connection between herself and the community becoming tangible with every brushstroke. One afternoon, Rosa witnessed the children splattering rainbow colors on smaller canvases set to the side, delighted shrieks of laughter blending into the melodies surrounding her. One little girl with sunlight dancing in her hair looked up at the mural wide-eyed and exclaimed, "This is magic!" Rosa brushed away a tear that threatened to escape, brushing her hands through the vibrant strokes illuminating the wall behind her. "This is love," she whispered back to the child, her heart swelling with pride. As the days approached the grand unveiling, her nervousness intertwined with excitement. Her heart thrummed a rhythm of anticipation and hope. She had shared her vision with the town, and now she needed them to see the colorful layers representing a piece of her, a glimpse into who she had become, interwoven with the loved ones who had shaped her path. The night before the unveiling, Rosa couldn't sleep, restless energy coursing through her veins like an unpenned horse. With the quiet of the moonlit sky enveloping the town, she slipped out of bed to wander toward the mural. Standing before it, illuminated by the glow from the streetlights, she immersed herself in the colors, each hue vibrantly alive under the moonlight, a reflection of her dreams, of hopes tangled in uncertainty. "Will they understand?" she murmured softly, fingers tracing the swirls of paint. "Will they still love me as part of this beauty?" She envisioned her parents, the heart of her fears nestled in the idea of acceptance and belonging. They were her foundation, and without their validation she would feel adrift as an artist. Then, with quiet determination simmering inside her, Rosa made the decision that would define that moment, a resolution to share her truth, her art, and let her family and the community embrace all of who she was. She took a deep breath, heart racing with newfound resolve. Finally, the day arrived. The square thrummed with life, adorned festively with bunting and colorful flags fluttering in the soft breeze. Rosa stood at the center of the gathering crowd, her heart fluttering violently as families filled the benches, Children tangled together giggling, and friends greeted one another with familiar camaraderie. "Today isn't just about revealing a mural," she began, her voice steady but filled with emotion, carrying warmth through the charged air. "It's about uniting our stories, our struggles, and our triumphs, creating a bond worthy of this vibrant community." Applause rippled through the crowd as warmth spread through her body, fueling her courage. "Every brushstroke embodies not only my journey, but the spirit of all who have shared their stories." The moment of unveiling neared and anticipation thickened. Rosa's stomach twisted, the weight of her emotions combined with excitement pressing against her chest. Could they feel the love woven into every color, every figure, every reflection in her art? She spotted her parents mingling in the crowd, their faces illuminated both with pride and intrigue, and with a grand flourish, Rosa and her fellow artists pulled down the drape from the mural, revealing it in all its glory. The reaction was instant. Gasps turned into a symphony of applause as the community beheld the vibrant tableau sprawled before them. Children rushed forward, pointing to their favorite colors, while elders leaned close, examining the details. The wall stood not only as a piece of art, but as a beacon showcasing their journey toward acceptance, love, and resilience. "The heart of the town," boldly declared. Among them, her parents stepped forward, and as their eyes met Rosa's, everything shifted, their pride and acceptance flooding her heart. "This is truly extraordinary," her mother breathed, tears sparkling in her eyes. "I see you, Rosa," her father added, his voice reverberating with emotion. "You've given us something beautiful to hold on to." The energy of the crowd pulsated, joy taking root among them as Rosa felt embraced by her family's acceptance. In that moment, her fears lifted into the ether, carrying her to a horizon filled with hope. The celebration of their collective art continued as festivities rolled into the evening, the air filled with laughter, music, and the stories of each individual, each woven into the fabric of their mural. Rosa's heart swelled anew, embracing her journey as an artist and, as importantly, as part of a family, a community, a love that would only deepen as time passed. Her art, once a solitary expression, now shimmered with brighter hues as the colors of shared narratives illuminated their past, connecting them to their present and infusing their future with promise. Through that vibrant experience, she had claimed her voice. Connected to her family, the town around her, and the spirit of artistic expression, Rosa found solace in the art that had once been her shield and now flourished as a living testament to a love that could conquer fear, and for the first time, she truly felt at home. As the celebration unfolded around Rosa, she soaked in the warmth of laughter, the twinkling lights, and the intoxicating scent of food wafting through the air. The mural stood tall, a monument to the community's journey, a tapestry of stories woven together through art. As children ran to and fro, excitement rippling through the crowd, Rosa felt a weight lift off her shoulders. Yet, even amidst the joyful chaos, a sense of unease settled in her stomach like a coiled spring. While the mural had served as a catalyst for connection and acceptance among many, the chasm with her father still loomed large, as did the remnants of unarticulated feelings. Would their bond, so recently revitalized, endure the pressures of the lingering past? Over the next weeks, she immersed herself in her art, leading workshops that filled the town with color and creativity. Each person who engaged with her felt a part of something larger, an opportunity to express their own stories through paint. Yet, despite the joyful buzz around her, the silence between Rosa and her father remained palpable, an unspoken tension painting the air with uncertainty. One afternoon, Rosa noticed her father lingering at the edge of a workshop, his posture stiff as he watched the children paint. The distance between them felt like a jagged stone. She felt a twinge of apprehension as she approached. "Dad, do you want to join us?" Her tone was hopeful, yet it trembled with unvoiced fears. He started, taking a deep breath, but his expression was distant, a tumult of emotions flickering behind his eyes. "I just don't know how." "Art can be as simple as letting your heart talk," Rosa encouraged, gesturing for him to come closer. She grabbed a brush and demonstrated how to mix colors, subtle hints of light spilling through. "It's about finding what feels right." After lingering for a moment, he finally stepped closer, brushing his fingers over the bristled edge of the brush as if it were an unfamiliar creature. "All right, but I can't promise anything great," he said, his voice thick with reluctance. "Just be yourself," she urged. "No expectations. As the sun dipped low in the sky, they dabbled together. The strokes were hesitant at first, color blending in ways that mirrored their uncertainty. Rosa watched her father slowly loosen up. As laughter passed between them, the paint drifted away with layers of their misunderstandings. "Your work has a direction, purpose," he observed, gesturing toward the chaotic scrawls blossom on their canvas. A hint of admiration colored his words. "It feels heartfelt. It's messy, just like life," she responded, a warm smile stretching across her face. "We can make something beautiful out of the chaos." But the following weeks strayed into silence again. The ghost of previous arguments hovered between them, creeping into their conversations, stifling vulnerability. Rosa longed to break the cycle, to unearth the truth that lay beneath both their evolving roles as artist and father. One sunny afternoon, they sat at the picnic table in her studio after a long painting session, the canvas between them bright with their collaborative streaks. Rosa's heart raced as she gathered the courage to approach her father about their relationship. "We've shared so much through art recently, but there are still things unsaid." He looked at her, the weight of her words flicking a shadow across his face. It was the moment she had both dreaded and hoped for, the catalyst they needed to forge ahead. "Yeah, I feel it too," he admitted quietly. "I want you to know, I appreciate your efforts to show me your world, but I've been struggling to keep up with everything." Rosa nodded, feeling her fears beginning to dissolve. "I don't expect you to know everything I've experienced. I just want you to meet me there, to walk with me in this journey." "You mean a lot to me, Rosa," he said earnestly, his gaze unwavering. "But sometimes I'm still trying to make sense of the distance that crept in. The artistic world you inhabit feels unfamiliar. Maybe we can blend our worlds," she suggested, her excitement bubbling over. "Art has a way of unraveling fears. Let's create something that encompasses both of us." With her proposal, hope unfurled anew between them. They began working side by side more frequently, often leaving their small disagreements behind while dipping their brushes into bright colors. Their once painful conversations transformed into animated discussions, infused with laughter as they built their relationship anew. In the coming days, they collaborated on larger pieces, testing the boundaries of their art and themselves. Each brushstroke became a conduit for reconciliation, allowing them to mend pathways worn too thin. One evening, as their masterpiece neared completion, her father turned to her, a hesitant smile on his face. "This is turning out better than I thought. You really helped me find my footing again." Rosa's heart fluttered. "And you've helped me embrace what I feared might be lost forever. We took the time to find ourselves again." As their connection deepened, they ventured into the world together, showcasing their work in a community exhibition, a showcase of not only art, but of their growing friendship beneath the layers. Excitement rippled through Rosa, seeing her father amidst the crowd, engaging with other artists and sharing stories about their piece. For the first time, she felt them working in harmony, musical notes blending into a vibrant symphony rather than clashing sounds. One night, during the exhibition opening, Rosa stood beside the mural they had created together, absorbing the energy of the crowd as families embraced, laughter echoed, and joy ignited the air. But in that moment of wonder, she couldn't shake an old worry. What if all this beauty was ephemeral? What if unresolved tensions re-emerged? As the night drew to an end, Rosa turned to her father. "This feels amazing, doesn't it?" He nodded, his brow furrowing momentarily. "It does. But there's still so much we need to unpack. Can we stay on this journey together?" "Of course," she promised, anchoring herself in the moment. "We're both evolving. All we have to do is keep walking together." Their hands rested on the canvas, fingers dancing along the edges of intertwining colors they created together, their evolution as a family reflected in every stroke. It was a testament to resilience, a reminder that art transcended not only barriers, but could serve as a foundation on which to build anew. Together, they embraced the journey ahead, knowing that, like art, relationships could be complex and beautiful. All that mattered was the willingness to continue creating together. As they promised to keep exploring the depths of their bond, Rosa felt invigorated, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, confident that their hearts were now mingling as one, capable of resilience, love, and endless possibilities. The air was electrified with anticipation as the community gathered for the culmination of their art project, a celebration of not only the mural Rosa and her father had crafted together, but also a reflection of the relationships that had blossomed alongside it. Lights twinkled against the dusk as people mingled, laughter spilling out from every corner, rekindling the spirit of unity that art had ignited. Standing before their mural, Rosa felt a surge of pride mixed with nervousness. Each intricate detail told a story of struggles faced, fears conquered, and connections strengthened. It was a visual testament to the journey they had all taken together, yet a shadow crept in. An unresolved concern whispered at the edges of her consciousness. Despite their burgeoning connection, was there still a chance that old wounds could be reopened? The evening commenced with heartfelt speeches, and as the head of the community stepped onto the makeshift stage, the crowd hushed. Tonight, we celebrate art, the language that knows no boundaries and builds bridges where walls once stood. Cheers erupted, and Rosa's heart swelled with hope. Her father stood beside her, pride evident in his eyes. "You've created something remarkable," he murmured, squeezing her shoulder gently. "Together," she corrected with a smile, appreciating the warmth of his acknowledgement. This journey had been as much his as it was hers. As the evening progressed, Rosa mingled with the crowd, listening to stories of how the mural had inspired others. Feedback poured in, and she felt the joyous energy imbue her spirit, until she noticed a familiar figure standing at the edge of the gathering. It was Lydia, the art critic who had once turned her back on Rosa and her work, her gaze sharp and assessing, a scornful legacy lingering in the air from their previous encounter. Rosa's heart sank, a chill creeping along her spine. "Hey, are you okay?" Her father's voice broke through her thoughts. I see Lydia," she admitted, swallowing hard. Her fears resurfaced like dark clouds roiling in the sunset sky. "I'm worried about what she might say. What if she tries to undermine everything we've built? Remember, this is your moment, Rosa," he encouraged, gently guiding her back to the present. "You have created this space of connection and love. No one can take that away from you." Taking a deep breath, Rosa decided to confront her anxieties head-on. If art served to connect them, perhaps this was another opportunity to reclaim her voice. As she walked toward Lydia, heart racing, she reminded herself of her transformation. "Rosa!" Lydia's tone was coolly polite, masking her true feelings as she sized up the mural. "Quite the display you've put together. I must admit, it's unexpected." Rosa held her ground, the flame of her newfound confidence igniting within her. "Thank you, Lydia. We've all poured our hearts into this project. It represents our journey and the love within our community." A glimmer of surprise flickered in Lydia's eyes, followed by an imperceptible softness. "I see that now. Art can evoke change, don't you think?" "It shifts perspectives," Rosa replied, her voice steady, tinged with a blend of vulnerability and strength. "This mural captured so many stories, including mine." Lydia shifted, her demeanor subtly warming. "It's different from what I expected. I misjudged you, Rosa." With those words, a fragile truce unfolded between them, like sunlight breaking through the clouds. With those tensions dissipating, Rosa felt emboldened. She engaged with Lydia, opening up a dialogue about her artistic journey, the struggles and the triumphs. And much to her surprise, Lydia listened, fascinated by the layers Rosa had painted her life with, her fears, her art, the connection she had forged with her father. As the night unfolded, Rosa's transformed perspective became infectious. The art pieces garnered enthusiasm, sparking conversations like wildfire. They celebrated stories of families coming together, of resilience chosen over adversity. With the festival in full swing, the night grew deeper, and the glow from lanterns illuminated the sky. Rosa stood alongside her father, both gazing at the mural, where their contrasting brushstrokes intertwined beautifully. "Tonight was a testament to what we can achieve," her father said, eyes glimmering with unshed tears. "This represents us, deeply flawed, but stronger together." "Together," Rosa echoed, feeling the warmth radiate from their connection. Just then, the town's mayor approached the pair, a bright smile on his face. "Rosa, your work has truly united us all. Together, we'd like to honor you with this award for championing community spirit through art." The crowd erupted in applause, and Rosa's heart raced, the standing ovation enveloping her in warmth. She stepped forward, receiving the recognition, her voice steady as she spoke. "Thank you. This work is a reflection of us all, a celebration of resilience, love, and connection." In that moment, everything aligned, her past, her art, her evolving relationship with her father, and a bright future beckoning on the horizon. As the festivities continued into the night, Rosa stood hand in hand with her father, grinning together, a shared understanding alive between them. They had turned their art, their fears, into something empowering and transformative, and in that spirit, she felt a profound tranquility engulf her. The darkness that once clouded their relationship had faded, revealing a vibrant future painted with splashes of hope and love. As the music played, laughter echoed, and colors glimmered around them, Rosa found solace in her journey. Together they had created more than art. They had forged a bond that would carry them into whatever came next, a life rich with possibilities and love.